Wow. I also love the fact she's a Southern girl, so we have that in common, as you can tell. And I was reminded last night when I said I'd lost my Southern accent that I guess I really haven't. If I hung out with Shannon a little bit more, I think I'd get it back. So Shannon, thank you for those inspiring words and for being such a leader. Let's give her a round of applause as she... So as I was thinking about the theme of our day together today, making a living, making a life, really talks about the transformational work that we do together in partnering with our clients, in assisting them at not only earning an income, but in working with them to have a sustainable livelihood and to break generational poverty. That is what our work is all about. And it reminded me of my first job out of college at Delta Airlines, which I've shared with many of you. I started as a flight attendant. I intended to go in the Peace Corps, just be with Delta for a year. A week before I was going to leave, I had the good fortune, divine interference, whatever you want to call it, and I met with the CEO of Delta Airlines on a flight. And he said to me, tell me a little bit about yourself. What are you planning on doing? And I said, I'm planning on leaving in a week to go do something really meaningful with my life, which was sticking my foot all the way down my throat. But he was so gracious in saying, well, why don't you come by my office and we will look at a few jobs that may be of interest to you. I won't give you a job, but I'll show you some things that may be of interest. And I did. I left that flight thinking, there's no way in the world the CEO of Delta Airlines will ever take this phone call. But he did. And it was life-changing for me because it started the beginning of a 30-year career. And I moved from being an entry-level employee to the third highest ranking person at Delta Airlines. So I share that with you because I want you to think about today, who was that someone in your life that gave you that opportunity? And we all have those people. We know in the work that we do that not everyone has those opportunities. And so we're going to talk a lot about that today because, as we've said repeatedly, we are focused on 20 million jobs by 2020. And we're 70% of the way there. We've got 13 million jobs in the can, if you will. And so we'll talk more about that. I'm going to ask for your indulgence as we go through the day. You're going to have people approach you and ask you a simple question because we're going to produce at the end of the day a video for you to take a look at. So will you work with me on that? Let them interview you? Please do. Okay. Well, let's get started then. So we're going to talk about the fundamentals, and I want to begin with, this is a really important time in the history of our world, and I will talk about that as we go through these slides. A really, really important time, a time for us to make a huge impact in our work and in partnering with other organizations. And so we'll begin with fundamentals. Somebody's moving my slides. I'm not moving them, but I'd like to do it myself. Thank you. So we'll start out with who's in charge up here, and I am. So I don't want to stand. I'm in charge of my slides. So I want to ground us in our work, and I think it's really important to talk about our vision, because there's some things about our organization that remain unchanged. And our vision is one of those. We have a vision of a world where people have the opportunity to live a life free from poverty and to live their lives with dignity and purpose. We really believe that. We believe that to our core. I know you all believe that. So, unchanged, our vision. Our motivation is unchanged. We joyfully are responding to Christ's call to love and serve the poor, joyfully. We seek to emulate the Good Samaritan, whose compassion crossed all ethnic barriers. So we don't discriminate against any ethnic groups. We serve everyone joyfully. We believe that's our calling. Our mission is to provide financial solutions and training to empower people to transform their lives, their children's futures, and their communities, unchanged. And then our values. So, you know, values are something that people talk a lot about. We, as a community of people, hold these values really close to our hearts and our heads and our hands. We're committed to our clients. We're committed to not only their transformation, but in our work with them, we are transformed. I can tell you my life over the last 3 years of being with you all has been totally transformed. We seek to do our work with humility in really thinking about this spirit of serving. We also seek to be respectful of one another, of our clients, of our donors. We seek to operate with a sense of humility. We also are very respectful in how we go about doing our business. Integrity is something that we think about every day. How do we go about our work, living our values, being transparent and accountable. Stewardship is really important because we report back not only to you, our donors, but we also are responsible for reporting back to our clients, for ensuring that we are spending our time thinking and preparing and working with them on what are their needs and addressing those needs. And it's not like we're selling airline seats. You know, we are seriously every day operating with urgency because it can be a meal for a child that we're focused on. It can be an education for a student. It can be a job for someone in the world that we're working in. So there is a high degree of urgency around the work we're doing. And then I've talked about transformation. So values, really important. I want to talk a little bit, and I've only got a few slides, which I'm sure you all are thrilled to hear. Just a few slides to ground us in the day. But this is a bit of an overview. And so across the top, you'll see, you know, our clients are our brothers and sisters around the world who are living in poverty. The insights on the left-hand side of the chart are what would benefit our clients. And then you can see across the bottom are how we have intervened with solutions. So if you think back to how we began, there were no microfinance institutions prior to 1970. And so there's a lot of discussion about Dr. Yunus, who did a great job being from Bangladesh, I would say, of marketing what he was doing. But what was happening at Opportunity with David Busseau and Al Whitaker was exactly the same thing that happened with Dr. Yunus. He was a great marketer, still is a great marketer. You know, and I laugh when people say, well, why is Opportunity such a big secret? Well, we need to invest more in marketing, but small plug. But this notion of the ability to borrow small amounts of money and then have a high repayment rate actually started with many of those people all together coming to the conclusion and the point of taking money out of their own pocket and giving it to clients. And amazingly, it was repaid. And they were shocked to see that. But that started our work. And then we went into the next iteration, which involved trust groups. So we wanted to scale up this work. And so we brought together around the world groups of women and men that would come together. They were so poor they didn't have any collateral, but they had one another. And they committed to each other that if they couldn't individually repay their loans, that they collectively would repay. So that was the next iteration. We then introduced, in some parts of the world where no one would go, savings programs through regulated banks. And our savings plans today are growing 70% higher than loans today because people that are living in poverty need a safe place to put their money. And so we, as an organization, wanted to provide them with a safe place to put their money, their capital. Funny story, I'll take a side note here, that in Malawi, I love this story and some of you have heard it. A woman's husband died, one of our clients, and her brother-in-law wanted to come in and take her savings account. I think she had a couple of $100. And we have biometric technology in Malawi. Bill Gates talks a lot about it being the best in the world. And so he tried to go into our bank to get her savings account. But because he couldn't, he didn't have the right thumbprint. He tried, but he couldn't. And so all of the women in that town, right outside the capital of Malawi, saw what happened with this woman and her money. And the next day, guess what happened? Anybody want to guess? I know Dave will guess. There were literally women lined up a mile long with cans, tin cans, jars of money to put into the Malawi savings account in the Malawi bank. So really, really important to build that trust around savings. Then the next iteration of how we would develop to benefit programs to serve our clients was MicroEnsure, which was developed about 9 years ago, and it was developed by an entrepreneur inside Opportunity International who said we should have insurance for people that are living in poverty. They deserve it. It is part of the circle that protects our clients. And so no one believed that Richard Lefley could do the work, but he believed that he could, and some people inside the organization believed that he could. And so today, MicroEnsure was just voted by the Financial Times and another, I think I said last night, the Wall Street Journal, as being the most innovative nonprofit of the decade, the most innovative, because it is providing insurance currently to 13 million clients at a run rate of $1 million a month, highly successful, and was so successful that we spun it off because we couldn't provide enough capital to see the growth rate that it needed. So another innovative product. And so then today I'll finish up with this slide by saying we are very, very focused on another set of innovative products and services. Affordable schools. We have well, I don't know where Nathan is, but if you talk to Nathan, it's probably changed since last night. Every day I talk to him, it's growing at a faster rate. We had a goal of providing education services to 1 million children around the world. We're now looking at 5 million, so we've really focused on education. It's so important to educate children around the world. We're very interested in providing credit for farmers. We're very interested in staying on the cutting edge of technology, mobile services. The world is mobile, becoming more and more mobile. It's more efficient, more effective, and so we're really focused on that. And we're wrapping all that together by being really focused on driving impact, because all of our donors want to know, are the investments that you're making really having an impact on people that we're serving? Do you agree with that? Does that make sense? Oh, good. Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, then I want to talk a little bit about reach. So how have we done those things? So that's what we've done. That's how we've addressed things. How have we gone about this notion of reach, which focuses in on how do we support the most clients? So we started with a number of NGOs back in the 70s, a small number. We then grew it and grew this network as we went through the trust groups and so forth. So the bottom line really equates very well to what is above. We then began the notion of owning and operating banks. And we left out a really important part of what happened at Opportunity that I want to speak to. And that is, if I can find we created Dia Vicus, which was designed in 2006. Dia Vicus is really important. It was designed to provide catalytic capital to support socially focused MFIs in India, primarily focused on serving the underserved. Anybody in the audience want to take a guess at how many women Dia Vicus is serving today? Not you, Ted, you can't guess. Take a guess. I can't hear anyone. 1 million, that's a great guess. 2.5 million women. Yeah, it's amazing. 2.5 million women. And they have a growth rate of 30% growth year over year, really focused on providing capital. Then we went into this area of owning and operating banks, and we, as I said, went where no one would go. We went into places like Malawi, we went into the DRC, we went into Colombia, we went into Serbia, Romania. So we went there because that is what we're called to do. And it was a great place to go. And the thing I would share with you this morning is, and I was talking actually with Chris Murdoch before I came in, our owned and operated banks are a little bit like teenagers. They need more capital, and they need more capacity than we can currently provide them. And so they're kind of knocking at our door saying, we want to grow up, we want to be bigger, we want to grow. And so we are in the midst of talking with partners about helping us provide more capital to these teenagers that want to grow up. And it's a very exciting time for us because we want to continue to stay very focused on financial services and products, and we want to continue to do the transformative work of looking at programs and services that can really help what our donors are saying they want us to focus on, what our clients are saying they need for us to focus on. So a really interesting time of taking this distribution system of Opportunity International and really making it sweat. So I love that term, making it sweat. So we've got this fabulous network, 28 MFIs, over 300 that we currently are not involved in. And if we had more time and more focus and more energy, we could use the services that I mentioned, education, agriculture, technology, and we could take those programs and work them across the distribution platform of the MFIs around the world. I think that sounds like a really good idea for helping people in poverty. So that is what we're focused on, and you'll hear more about that as we go through the day. Why do I say this is an exciting time? Well, it's interesting because I had an opportunity last week, not this week, we've had our board with us this week, to visit with President Bush and Laura Bush, and trying to find my notes here, so bear with me, and the First Lady, Michelle Obama, at the Bush Institute. And we were talking about why this is so significant. And we don't talk enough, I think, about what is being done, not just by Opportunity, but by also other organizations. Will somebody help me with the slide? It's called humility. It's called practicing humility in action. But we were together last week talking about all that's been done to, if we stay on track with the programs that we're currently working together internationally, we will have the ability to reduce over a 30-year period people living in poverty from being 38% of the population of the world. By 2030, less than 3% of the population. We don't talk enough about that. People, and there was an interesting article, I won't get it exactly right, that Nicholas Kristof wrote in the New York Times yesterday. I see you shaking your head, Emmy and Steve, that 95% of Americans do not believe that anything with any impact is happening around people living in poverty in the developing world, and that is simply not true. So in our lives, God willing, I live that long, 15 more years, and in our children's life, the idea of people living on less than $2 a day will no longer be the case. That's pretty exciting, don't you think? I think it is. And we can be a part of that. Yes. I think it's really exciting. The other thing that I learned as I was visiting with the Bushes and with Michelle and with the First Ladies of Africa, is they were talking about a piece of research that came out of the United Nations. And it's a very big piece of research. So they interviewed, the United Nations interviewed 8 million global citizens, 3 million of whom were people living in poverty. And they said they wanted to identify and rank the top 16 most important priorities facing them. So these are our clients, at least almost half. These are the things that were their top 5 priorities: education, healthcare, jobs and income opportunities, honest and responsive governments, affordable and nutritious food. So, the thing that I would say to you is when we think about the work that we're doing with you and with our clients, we are in 4 out of 5 of those top priorities that those 8 million people, 3 of which are our clients. We are operating in 4 out of 5 of those really important areas. That's really impactful. That really says a lot to me. And so my challenge to you and to myself as we go through the day-to-day is let's listen to the voice of our clients. Let's listen to what those people are saying. Let's join forces to eliminate the most severe poverty in the world today, because I believe, and I know you believe, that we can do it. Thank you.